Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today I've got Ian Moyse, and we're going to be talking about the 5 things that you need to get an interview or a job. Ian's going to be passing and giving out some of his excellent advice from him being a judge and him from being interviewing people. And with the market like it is, we thought it'd be really good to get online and actually share some of that experience. So before we dig in, Ian, where can people find you?
Sure, thanks, Tim. You can find me on social. 2 shortcuts to that: ianmoyse.co.uk and ianmoyse.cloud will find my 2 predominant social platforms.
And you're very active on social media anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, both in terms of sharing content, engaging, I guess, and the whole mix that comes with it.
So give a quick update on your background so we can set some context in terms of the fact that, how can you say these are the 5 things that you need to do in an interview? Give us an update on your background.
Yeah, sure. So in short, I guess, been in sales decades and sales management, and I've had the pleasure to lead, manage, coach a lot of salespeople. Part of that, of course, is, as you mentioned, you interview and recruit for sales. So I've interviewed a lot of salespeople over the years for different roles. I've also been the judge of a number of sales awards where you get to engage and interview in a different manner salespeople from different industries. So you get a little bit of more of a mix. Take that into context, and then interesting, what my wife always says is she doesn't like interviews, right? It's nervous, and I always look at it that it's just another meeting. It's just what you do in sales. It's just another meeting, engaging with someone and asking questions, getting an understanding of what the need is, matching up your solution to it. The only difference being you're the product, and you know that product better than anyone on the planet. But what I've experienced and learned through this in interviewing a lot of salespeople who should be really good at this, because that's the one thing you've been trained to do, is engage and sell something to someone. They're pretty poor at it, and that's either because they're demonstrating poor sales ability or average sales ability in the process, or part of it certainly is people go into interview mode. Their brain switches into this context of, this is what it's about. I'm being judged. It's an important thing. It's a job I want. And they behave in a way that doesn't allow them to shine and doesn't put them in the best light. And you've already done the hard part if you've got to the interview, right? You're already in a shortlist of some type. Now it's about winning that deal.
Are you saying that an interview is in effect a sale?
It is. It
Right.
is, right? You're the product. And it's like, so think about when you sell a product or service, the customer's going to choose one to go with, and you may have done a load of bid work, you may have done a load of presentations or meetings, but if you come second, you don't win the deal. You just don't
It's
get it, right?
worse
Same
coming
with an interview.
second. It's worse coming second because you put loads of effort in. If you came last, you didn't put any effort in.
It is, but typically you don't know whether you came second or third, and certainly in jobs you don't, right? They don't say you were the runner-up, and unless you know there was only 2 candidates at the end, and you've got that during the process, you've found that out. But it's the same thing, right? I view it as winning, same as you would be winning a project or with a client or a prospect. Are you winning the deal, which is the job? Are you getting offered the job? And that's the win. And there are behaviors that mirror a sales process if you do them. And most people, what I witness, being the recruiter, seeing the candidate on the other side, don't do those behaviors, because I see it all the time. And that's from salespeople who should know better, because that's what they do all the time, is engage with people and sell something to them.
And if they do these things, then at least it's one of those things, isn't it? In terms of competitive advantage, if you are just 1% better than your competition, that's all you need to be. Then you get the job.
Often it can be a marginal decision, right? It's not typically, if you've been shortlisted, it's not going to be that if you're down, whether it's 2 candidates or 5, whatever, it's not going to be that one of you's a 9 out of 10 and one of you's a 2 out of 10, or you wouldn't have got through the process. It's going to be a close run thing from those finalists. And it's those little things that can make the difference of demonstrating. People are looking for, what are you looking for when you're interviewing someone is, do you like them? Do you think you can work with them? Can you see them being successful in this role? And you're judging that during the process. The CV's got you there, and it may be part of that, but a big volume of it is the person in front of you, either in person or on video, depending how it's being done these days. There's a lot more context, and a lot more of the decision gets made through that part than what's on the paper.
So what can we do? What can we be doing at the interview that's going to make us stand out and get us that job?
Yeah, so I'll talk you through a few different examples, and they're simple things. The good thing is, they're simple, and they're easy to understand and do. So so first one, right, is you want to build rapport from the start, and I always go back to that with, you'll know this with your social selling or anything in sales is, it's the 5 Ps or the 6 Ps if you want to go for the different version. But proper planning prevents poor performance. Is research and plan for that sales call, that interview that you're about to have. And that isn't just skip on the website and spend 2 minutes, right, got it. It's ask in advance, who are you going to be interviewed by? And often I find that people have failed that, right? If there's 2 or 3 people they're going to be interviewed by, and if in those formal ones where you go to an office, they only knew they were meeting one, they didn't know who the others were. Oh, I'm meeting 3 people. Who are the other 2? Don't know.
Yeah.
Ask. There's nothing wrong within the process. So can I ask who those 3 people will be? Getting their names so you can go and look them up. And I've had this where I've been given a name, and this happened to me recently, and I couldn't find them on LinkedIn, right? Because the name I'd been given was the shortened version. I tried the longer version, but it was, and even the way it was spelt was slightly out. And LinkedIn, in its beautiful search, didn't find it, didn't even give me a clue. So I went back and asked the recruitment team. So sorry, I can't find the individual on LinkedIn, which demonstrates I'm trying to do something right. Can you tell me what the profile is, so that I can have a look? I don't just give up because I can't find it. There's nothing wrong with engagement showing how much you care about it. Look them up, right? Reach out before the meeting would be my advice, not with a connection
So
invite.
connect to them before the
No,
meeting.
I wouldn't say a connection invite.
Right.
What I would do is send them a message.
Okay.
That just a nice thing you might do with think of you're meeting a client or a prospect.
Yeah.
You might send them something saying, looking forward to meeting you on Friday. If there's anything you need me to prepare or anything particular, please let me know. If not, see you in a few days. Something that's just your style but relaxed, right? Just so that you've marked, this is my behavior.
And if you were doing a board presentation, say we were presenting to the board of a big bank,
Yep.
we wouldn't just turn up.
Yeah.
We'd
No,
say who's at the board, what do they do, what do they look like, and look them up.
And also, what do you want to get out of that meeting? Which I'd either ask beforehand, or I'd certainly ask, as we'll get onto in a second, when you start the conversation. So you've reached out to them. You may get a response or not. Occasionally get a response, which would be, yep, look forward to it. Sometimes people will link back to you, which case you can accept it. That's great. But check them out. Check them out on the socials. And then I also, before the interview, spend, if it's going there in person, I get there early and find a coffee shop, whatever, and spend 45 minutes to an hour, whatever's go through your notes, look at the profiles again, get it fresh in your memory.
Yeah.
Right.
Good advice.
Don't just do it 2 days before and then turn up and well, I've got my notes. Get it fresh so it's in there, it's living as you do it. And part of that prep is prepare some insightful questions. Think about what questions would make sense. What do I want to know about this for me to understand if this is right for me, if the business is right? Think about the questions and write them out, right? Have them there. And if you meet them in person, they'll see that you've got the questions. They may answer some in the way they talk. I often find when they do their preamble and talk, and some of it gets answered anyway.
So I writing it down is so important, Ian, because what you're doing is that you go in and they say, have you got any questions? And you go, let me look at my notes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, there are. It shows that you've prepared. It's a bit like when you go for the driving test and they always say, you look up at the rear view mirror, or depending which side it is, and show that you're doing it. By actually showing that you've got those notes, you show that you've prepared.
And let me tell you, I'm jumping to another point here, and that was one of my other points, is have notes about all the stuff you've got, and don't be afraid to refer to it. Take your pad out at the beginning of the meeting if need be. Just it's a discussion point. I hope you don't mind. I've got my notes out because I've obviously done some research, and tell them there's nothing wrong with that. And I've got some questions, but may get answered as we talk. But great. There's a state. You will be shocked at the number of salespeople I've interviewed over the years who, and many of them have been doing it a long time. They're not green to this. Who at an interview do not even get a pad out. I've had a whole interview go where at the end, one of my questions has been, can I ask why didn't you have a pad? Oh, it's in my bag. Right. What is that? What have you just demonstrated to me in your behavior?
I was told in very early on in sales that you take notes. You take notes because it's polite. Just as
Yep.
much as you shake somebody's hand, you say please and thank you, you hold open the door for people, you take notes because it's polite. You could be sitting there writing your shopping list, but because you're sitting in front of somebody, it's polite to do that.
Yeah, and I've coached people in an interview. I like to give feedback, so I've coached them and said, look, let me tell you, in other interviews you go into, how that's perceived. And often they've said to me, oh, no one's ever told me that.
No.
Well, if no one's told you, you haven't learned from it of how it's, but it is perceived. It's not good, right? And if 6 people come in and one of them doesn't take notes, it might be, hey, you look good on paper, but if you miss all of these small things and someone else demonstrates them, who have they got the confidence in? Who is demonstrating being safe hands if you employ them?
Well, if you know where we've got so far, if you've walked in, you've built rapport, you've sat down and said, I've got some questions, but well, let's see if we come to them. This is my notes. You're already ahead.
Exactly. It's all about building rapport, and which makes the whole conversation better, right? And that's another important point for me is think of the interview as a conversation, an engagement. Don't think of it as an interview, because what I've watched people do, and I see it all the time, is frame it as you're the questioner, I'm the answerer.
Mm.
Well, it's not. No, we're both playing both parts, the same as you would with a customer. In fact, I, as the interviewer, want you talking more. I don't want the interviewer to control the whole conversation and me to wait to be a question. Right, now I'll answer the question. What's the next question? Now I'll answer the question. It should be a flowing conversation.
It needs
And
to be a conversation because you're interviewing whether you're right, whether the company is right for you.
and that starts from the beginning
Yeah.
of how you start that meeting, right? If you sit there quiet and wait for them to start, so I will often start with asking the question. Great to have time today. I understand we've got about an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is. Great, and you're okay? Yep. I've obviously done some prep work, and I've got some questions. What format do you want to take today? How do you want to play this out? Because we obviously both want to get out of this and figure out if we're right for each other. I've now taken a little bit of control of this conversation in a polite manner and set the scene of this is going to be a two-way piece. Then let them frame out, well, what we'd like to do. And I'd like to initially do this and do it this way. Great, but make sure it flows through it. Don't let it become they ask something, you answer. They ask something, because it just throws. If you get it to be conversational, straight away you stand out against a lot of other candidates anyway. And let me tell you this: from being the interviewer side, it makes it a lot easier for me because it makes it conversational and the whole thing flows. And guess what? I build more rapport and I start to like you, as opposed to a candidate who just waits for me to ask a question, and you're trying to come up with. It puts all the pressure on me.
And if the thing is if this was a sale, which it is because we're selling you, you would be going in and testing. Is my product right for you? I need to. So if you think about the sales processes, people are told there's a discovery, and the discovery is in effect the interview where you're going in and asking questions. But there is that backwards and forwards in terms of, well, is your product right for me? Is your business right for me? You would do that backwards and forwards.
And questioning is another important part of it, right? And I take that up with salespeople all the time, is asking good questions demonstrates your capability and shows a lot. By what you ask, when and how you ask it, illustrates a lot, right? And to your point, take the notes, then listen, take the notes, and ask other questions. If you're not sure or you don't know what it means, ask. There's nothing wrong with that, and showing a bit of humility. So, can you clarify what you meant by that? The same as you would with a customer prospect. It's not different.
So I got a feeling that this point's going to take 5 minutes, which is what we've got. So we've been through. We have this backwards and forwards. What happens at the end?
Yeah, well, there's an easy one, right? It is in the questioning, and this is another one I witness people not doing, which is why I think it's good advice, is particularly salespeople, is you should be qualifying, and part of the qualification you do in a typical sale is how is judging where you fit. What's the decision process? You know, what does that look like, and over what period? But you don't want to you want to ask that with soft questions, right? And that's quite easy. And particularly if you've built the rapport during it and made it conversational, you've led yourself into a path where you can ask some pretty interesting questions at the end because you've got rapport with them, right? So, and the way I typically frame that up is, yeah, help me understand, you know, from this point forward, what I understand where I'll probably need to speak to Keith or Susan, whatever you've been told. What else is involved in the process of how you're going to decide? Because I appreciate it's an important decision who you hire, and you know, there's a lot of factors. What else needs to happen, right? Explore it in your own style. And the other one I always ask is how I've done at the end, a test close. And the great question for that,
So to close or not
yeah,
to close, and the answer to that is yes.
yeah, it's a test case. But again, you've got to have built the rapport during it, because if you haven't, it feels uncomfortable. But if you have, you've pathed your way. And typically, I'll say at the end, you'll be wrapping up and say, I'd like to ask one more question. So if I may, Tim, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm just not a fit for this in your opinion. Tell me from your gut. 10 being perfect candidate. Where's your gut tell me we're at the moment? Now, the reactions I get to that are people pause. I get people say, that's a really good question. They know what you're doing, right? But you've
Yeah.
done it in a way that's a soft question. You've rapport your way there. Some will give you an answer, some won't. But the fact you've asked that question, you know, I've had people go, I like it. You're trying to do the right thing. I'm not giving you an answer, but you know you've got a brownie point for it. If they give you a number, right? So let's say yeah, go on.
I've given you a 7.
Brilliant. Tim, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Let me cheekily ask one more question, if I may. What would it have taken today for me to have got an 8?
Yeah.
And then you
Or a
pause.
10.
And the key thing on both of those is ask the question and pause. And that, because typically they're not expecting that question and they're going to think about it. So don't start. What would you give me, Tim? 1 to 10, da, 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 and then they're thinking. Go. Don't start filling the gap. Sales behavior. Pause. Just stay silent. It's their turn to speak. I am not speaking until they speak, no matter what happens.
So the important point is you say, what would it have taken to get to an 8 or a 10,
Whatever the number
and
is they
then go
give.
quiet
Yeah, whatever the number is, I always ask, what would it take
and
the
go
next number?
silent.
And both those questions, you ask the question politely and you go silent. And whatever they come out with is going to give you a bit of feedback, but it's basically a test close, right? It's not, are you going to give me the job? Are you going to put me to the next stage? So it's not putting them on the spot of having to commit now, but it's putting them on the, give me a feel of how I've graded it. And you should know, right? You should get a
And so
feel for.
when they say, well, Ian, you know, I'm not a big fan of black headphones. If you'd worn a different color headphones, then, you know, I think you would have been a 10 rather than a 7. What would you do then?
If it's something like that, which is a bit cheeky, as you've got to play the game right, the
Well,
rapport you
well,
built. But
so
I
you're
get your
going to
point. Whatever it
basically
is, yeah, whatever it
objection
is.
handle. You're going to objection handle that point.
Potentially, depending what it is, right? It might be something where they say, well, Ian, if you had more vertical market experience in manufacturing,
Yeah,
it would have been higher. Tim,
yeah.
that's great feedback. That's obviously something
And what would you?
I've either.
So if you were told you needed to have more vertical manufacturing experience, what would you do?
So for me, I would answer that and you've got to be authentic and truthful, right? If you haven't got it, Tim, if you have got it, Tim, I obviously haven't explained myself too well to give you that impression. I do have that. I know we're wrapping up. Do you want me to spend a couple of moments now explaining what I missed, or would you like me to send you something afterwards? If you don't have it, be honest and authentic and just fess up, right? Tim, thank you so much for that. I can't create something I haven't done, but hopefully with the experience that I've demonstrated of learning and moving into different sectors, I can. So you've got to go somewhere, but it's got to be authentic because
But
you're going to
you're
pick yourself up.
demonstrating that you can close, and you're demonstrating that you can do objection handling.
Correct.
Key core skill score.
And why wouldn't you do that? You're a sales, if you're a salesperson in an interview, behave like one.
So we've had two comments, Ian,
Sure.
both from Andrew Slessor. One is, good afternoon, Tim and Ian. For myself, the interview process comes down to the personality of the person. In the end, it must come down to a toying cost who gets the job. Maybe that's quite often the case. And Andrew says he turned up at an interview once and took out his notes, and the interviewer was surprised. I bet he was.
Hopefully positively, right?
Yes.
But yeah, on the first one, I think it does, as I said at the beginning, it's about building rapport. People buy from people they like, they feel they can trust, and they can do business with, right? So unfortunately, it does come down to a little bit of if they take a dislike to you, and that's often driven by how you behave. You turn up late to a meeting, don't do a good handshake, don't have a notepad, are disorganized, call the person by the wrong name, any of those things. It doesn't go down well, right? Because a lot of it is in your own control. It's the effort you put in. Do everything as good as best as you can. You'll find lots of other people. Let other people make those failures, and you'll be you may not get the job, but you'll be one of the top candidates. You've got to stick to the good behaviors all the way through each process.
Ian, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome.
And I'm just going to put up Alistair's, love that quote. If you're a salesperson in the interview, behave like one. Ian, thank you so much for coming on today. A lot of information in there that you shared, a lot to unpack, but a lot of really good insight in terms of how to run a interview from a candidate perspective, and what you need to do while you're doing that. Remind people where they can get hold of you in.
Sure. Thank you so much. ianmoyse.co.uk and ianmoyse.cloud.
Brilliant. Ian, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your experience. I think it's something that's